He tattooed our names Puppy Love. Puppy love isn't supposed to last, right? Adults used to smile whenever they saw us together. Oh. Puppy love. They'd laugh. You'll both move on. Some even made bets. 6 months. I'll give them a year. No one believed we'd last. To be honest, neither did I. Especially after Kelvin did something completely ridiculous. When I was 17. Studying in junior college. Preparing for A-levels. Living on copy, lecture notes and panic. Kelvin was 21. He had just completed national service, and was about to begin university. We met through mutual friends during a birthday barbecue. He wasn't the loudest person there. But he was impossible to miss. He had tattoos. Quite a few of them. My first thought was, Mum is going to faint. The funny thing was, Kelvin looked intimidating. But he was probably the gentlest person I'd ever met. He always carried tissues. Helped clear tables after meals. Remembered everyone's birthdays. He volunteered at an animal shelter. The tattoos scared strangers. The person underneath them couldn't even watch sad animal videos without tearing. 3 months later, we started dating. We officially became boyfriend and girlfriend. Our dates were wonderfully ordinary. Walking around Orchard Road. Sharing bubble tea. Studying together at the library. Late-night prata after tuition. Sometimes we'd sit at East Coast Park talking until it was time for the last bus home. It wasn't glamorous. It was just easy. Then one Saturday, Kelvin said, "I've got a surprise." I suddenly don't like surprises. He laughed. "Come." He rolled up his sleeve. There, on his arm, in elegant script, were 2 names. Kelvin and Kelly. I stared. Then stared some more. "You did what?" He smiled proudly. "I thought you'd like it." I nearly fainted. "Kelvin, what if we don't work out?" He blinked. "We will. You don't know that." "I do. We're so young." He scratched his head. I might have been slightly optimistic. "Slightly. You tattooed my name. At least it does not have hearts." I laughed. News spread faster than exam results. By Monday, everyone knew. The entire school found out. Friends laughed. Teachers looked confused. One classmate walked into the canteen singing loudly. Musical note: Kelvin and Kelly. Sitting in a tree. Kissing. Musical note. The entire table joined in. I buried my face in my hands. Kelvin smiled proudly. "I think it's catchy. I think I'm changing schools. Nothing stays secret in Singapore. Especially not tattoos." Mum saw it during dinner. She nearly dropped her cup. "He tattooed what?" "My name." Dad looked over his glasses. "He permanently wrote your name." "Yes." Silence. Finally Dad smiled. "Well, at least he can spell." Mum glared at him. "This isn't funny." Dad shrugged. It'll either become a wonderful love story, or a very expensive mistake. University changed everything. Kelvin attended NUS. I entered NTU 2 years later. Life became busy. Assignments. Internships. Part-time jobs. Sometimes we only met once a week. Friends quietly predicted, "This is where they break up." We didn't. Instead, we learned something. Love wasn't about constantly being together. It was about making time when life became busy. Years passed. The tattoo became legendary. Every Chinese New Year, relatives asked, "Still together?" Kelvin would roll up his sleeve. "So far, so good." One uncle laughed. "Luckily your girlfriend didn't change." At work people often judged Kelvin. They noticed the tattoos before the man. Until they worked with him. Within weeks everyone discovered. He was dependable. Patient. Kind. One colleague whispered to me. I completely misjudged him. I smiled. "I know. I did too." One evening I finally asked him. "What possessed you?" "The tattoo." He smiled. "I was young. That's not an explanation. I loved you. You were reckless." "I definitely was." He laughed. "But I've never regretted it." He hugged me and kissed me. "I will never give you up." 10 years after we first met, We returned to the same barbecue pit where everything began. Our old friends were there. Families. Children. Someone suddenly shouted. Oi! Still puppy love. Everyone laughed. Kelvin looked at me. I smiled. I think the puppy grew up. One of our old classmates smiled. You two proved all of us wrong. What do you mean? We all thought you'd never last. Kelvin laughed. So did Kelly. I nodded. I really did. Later that evening, Kelvin handed me a small envelope. What is this? Open it. Inside was a sketch. Not another name. Instead, a tiny paw print. I looked confused. He smiled. You once said, puppy love. I thought, maybe we've earned the right to keep the joke. I laughed until tears appeared. That's actually really sweet. Our names are now encased in a paw print. Sweet, right? Today, whenever young couples ask us for relationship advice, they always notice the tattoo. One inevitably asks, so, would you recommend tattooing your girlfriend's name? Kelvin immediately answers, no. Everyone laughs. Then he smiles. I was lucky. Very lucky. Kelly nods. If we'd broken up, he'd have spent the rest of his life explaining it. Kelvin grins. Instead, I get to tell people the story. Kelly looks at him with the same smile she had at 17. You know, when I first saw that tattoo, I thought you'd completely lost your mind. I probably had. But you stayed. She nods. I stayed because eventually I realized. It wasn't the tattoo that mattered. It was the man willing to commit to something bigger than himself. Kelvin reaches for her hand. And you. You grew up beside me. She squeezes his hand. We both did. As their friends gathered for another group photograph, someone inevitably started singing again. Musical note: Kelvin and Kelly. Sitting in a tree. Kissing. Musical note. This time, instead of hiding her face in embarrassment, Kelly laughed and sang along. Because what had once been a silly teenage rhyme had quietly become a lifetime of laughter. Sometimes puppy love fades. Sometimes it becomes a beautiful memory. And every once in a while, if two people are willing to grow together, puppy love grows up too. The end. I hope you love what we brought you. This story was created by Pearl. Please remember to subscribe and like so that we can continue to create more stories.